Everyone wants karma to be real. Still, not everybody believes that there is some divine power to ensure that the good is rewarded. But when we see someone selflessly sacrificing their comfort to help others, people feel like there ought to be. It might not occur every time, but sometimes good people are rewarded for their actions. And often, the payoff is so great, it will leave you wondering if karma may actually be real. Without further ado, let's get started. 8. The man who donated blood to save children's lives. When James Harrison was just 14 years old, he almost died. It took a major surgery in his chest to save his life. One of his lungs had to be removed by doctors, causing 2 liters or half a gallon of blood to be drained from his body in the process. Harrison survived, but he realized it was due to the good deeds of strangers who had donated blood to him that was now running through his body. Therefore, he wanted to make up for it and help others. Harrison had promised himself that as soon as he was old enough, he would donate blood as much as he could. He went through with it on his 18th birthday, donating his first pint of blood. But the unexpected happened. The doctors began to realize his blood was actually rare. It had antibodies that were effectively a cure for Rhesus disease, a blood disorder that could cause children to be born with brain damage or maybe even die. They requested Harrison to donate blood on a regular basis and let them conduct tests, and he agreed. His blood turned into a cure. Harrison, now in his 70s, helped save the lives of more than 2 million children. But he didn't just help in saving the lives of strangers. When Tracy, his own daughter, became pregnant, it was diagnosed that she was at risk of Rhesus. Blood donations by Harrison ensured that her baby was born safely. Because he helped in saving the lives of millions of children, James was able to become a grandfather. 7. A homeless man returned a diamond ring and got a house. Billy Ray Harris used to beg for money in Kansas City when he had a stroke of good luck. A young woman named Sarah Darling was supposed to drop a few coins in his cup, but her engagement ring slipped off, and now a homeless man had a ring worth what for him was a hefty sum. His first impulse was to sell it, but when a jewelry shop nearby offered him $4,000, a panic of guilt prevented him from making a deal. He couldn't allow himself to do so. He decided to wait until he saw Sarah again so that he could return the ring. After some time, he finally got to her and gave back the ring. Sarah was so impressed by this good deed, she wanted to repay him. Therefore, she decided to start an online fund to raise some money for Harris. Surprisingly, the story went viral. Harris was bestowed with much more than he could have ever imagined. Even the online fund caught the attention of Billy's estranged family, and they were able to reunite. He was tracked down by his sister, and they welcomed him back to the family that he hadn't met in years. He was able to meet his nephews and nieces for the first time, and when the fund was closed, they'd raised more than $185,000. Harris was able to purchase a house from the donations. He also purchased a car and set his life back on track. All of this was worth much more than the $4,000 ring that he had accidentally found. 6. What goes around comes back around. After 20-year-old Callum Millard perished in an ATV crash, his parents Bill and Tish agreed to donate the organs of their son. The pancreas of Callum went to Jake McKinnon, who had been dealing with type 1 diabetes since the age of 5. A few months later, Janice McKinnon, Jake's mother, met the mourning parents and both families became friends. It was 10 years later when Bill was in urgent need of a kidney after he had suffered a kidney failure due to diabetes. Janice decided to donate her own organ immediately, returning what Bill's son had offered her own child a decade ago. 5. Best bill ever. After spending the night trying to put out a fire in a warehouse, New Jersey firefighters Tim Young and Paul Hollings went to a restaurant for breakfast and get a good cup of coffee. Instead of a check, they were given a note by their waitress, Liz Woodward, thanking them for their incredible service, according to ABC News. Touched that she had paid their bill, Young posted on his Facebook status asking his friends to leave Woodward with a decent tip if she was ever their waitress. And that's not all. He also discovered the GoFundMe page that Woodward had started for her father to raise money for a wheelchair-accessible van. The cash came flowing in after Young posted it on Facebook, collecting more than $86,000. 4. Woman showered with job offers after helping a homeless man. A homeless man entered a 7-Eleven in Salem, Massachusetts, where Ava Linz was working, on one of the coldest nights of the month. She felt really sorry for the homeless man, so she decided to gift him with a cup of coffee. When the man was about to leave, the manager came rushing in and yelled at him for stealing a $1 drink. Linz tried to control the situation by saying that he had been charged, but she admitted it the next day and paid the price. She was later told she was no longer on the shift after the move, and when various media outlets came across the story, Linz was showered with over hundreds of job offers. She accepted a position with Citizens for Adequate Housing as administrative assistant, far better than her former 7-Eleven position. 3. A cosmic coincidence. When Roger Lausier was 4 years old, he ran away from his mother on a beach trip in 1965. He made his way into the water alone and attempted to swim, but he was dragged down by an undercurrent. He would have never made it alive on the shore if it was not for Alice Blaze, who immediately dove into the water and brought him to the shore. She revived Roger and saved his life. 9 years later, Roger was 13 years old. One day, he went to the same beach for a swimming session with his friends. There, he heard the shout of a woman crying out as her husband was drowning. Roger didn't know that it was the same woman who had helped him 9 years ago, but he immediately went into the water to help save the man. He jumped onto a raft and paddled toward the man, and he dragged him to the shore and saved his life. Nobody was aware of the odd and surprising coincidence that had occurred until the news mentioned it the next day. Alice Blaze soon knew that the young man who had saved her husband's life was the 4-year-old boy whose life she had saved once. 2. Man survived heart attack with the help of a motorist. In 2011, Victor Giesbrecht and his wife Ann were driving down an interstate in Wisconsin when they saw 2 young women pulled over by the roadside. A flat had sprung up for the 2 ladies, Lisa Meyer and Sarah Berg, and they didn't know how to fix a tire. But the Giesbrechts were seasoned motorists. They were happy to pull over, assist the strangers in changing their tires, and get them back on the road. The women thanked them and went on their way. After a short while, the Giesbrechts' truck stopped on the side of the road. The 2 women were still driving behind the truck. They pulled over to see if anything was wrong with the couple. They immediately saw that Ann was running out and crying for help. She was screaming that her husband was having a heart attack. Even though Sarah and Lisa did not know much about cars, Sarah was a nursing assistant and she knew what to do when someone was having a heart attack. She gave Victor CPR while her friend immediately called 911. The paramedics were able to make it there on time. Victor was able to survive the heart attack that could have killed him just because he had helped a stranger on the side of the road. 1. Holocaust heroes saved from the Bosnian genocide. The Cavillo family were sure their days were numbered when the Germans invaded Sarajevo in 1941. They were Jews, and the Nazis were coming. They had to get out as soon as possible. Mustafa Hardaga, a Muslim friend, asked the Cavillos to take shelter in his home and then assisted them in escaping the country. With the aid of the Hardagas, every member of the Cavillo family went out safely, with the exception of their father, Joseph Cavillo. Joseph was captured by the Germans and forced to work in a chain gang. Again, the Hardagas rescued him. Zainaba, Mustafa's wife, managed to sneak him food, helped him escape, and once he was free, she let him hide in their home. Then they helped him get out of the country and rejoin his family. Over 50 years later, the Bosnian War started and the Hardagas were still in Sarajevo. It turned into a genocide and more than 8,000 Muslims were killed. The Hardagas would have probably died there, but the Israeli memorial to the Holocaust, Yad Vashem, knew their story. The organization pulled strings to bring the Hardagas into Israel as soon as the genocide started. They returned the favor they had offered to the Cavillos, and they saved a Muslim family from genocide. You've just watched Satisfying Times, Good Karma Came for Good People. We hope you liked the video. Thanks for watching.